CPAC is on, and the craziness has been, it's almost now not even interesting. Although Wayne LaPierre gets up in front of the CPAC crowd, and I think this is really telling. If people want to understand the relationship between the cultural identification between these gun nuts and the rest of the conservative project, you need only to listen to the vision that Wayne LaPierre has of our world now, of our, more specifically, American society, and how this dovetails with the same thing that Rush Limbaugh will say about just about anything, to justify just about anything. But here it is. Here's Wayne LaPierre in front of the crazies at CPAC.
We fear for the safety of our families. It's why neighborhood streets that were once filled with bicycles and skateboards and laughter in the air now sit empty and silent. In virtually every way, for the things we care about most, we feel profound loss. We're sad. Not because we fear something is going wrong, but because we know something already has gone wrong. That's why more and more Americans are buying firearms and ammunition. Not to cause trouble.
All right, pause it for 1 second. I just want a note. Of course, the reason why Americans are buying more firearms and ammunition is because there's not enough kids on the streets with skateboards and playing stickball. Hold on, let's continue.
Okay, can I say one thing before you go back from the pause? For everyone listening to this, you know how like when you get a fortune cookie and you add "in bed" at the end? Add to every sentence Wayne LaPierre says, add at the end, because whites are shrinking demographically.
Go.
But because
and it all makes sense.
That America is already in trouble.
Whites are shrinking.
In this uncertain world, surrounded by lies and corruption everywhere you look, there is no greater freedom than the right to survive and protect our families with all the rifles, shotguns, and handguns we want. We know in the world that surrounds us, there are terrorists and there are home invaders, drug cartels, carjackers, knockout gamers, and rapers, and haters, and campus killers, airport killers, shopping mall killers, and killers who scheme to destroy our country with massive storms of violence against our power grids or vicious waves of chemicals or disease that could collapse our society that sustains us all. So, I ask you, all of you here today, do you trust this government to protect you? No. We are on our own. That is a certainty.
I don't know really where to stand. I mean, to start with this insanity, but I will.
You need your guns to shoot the chemicals out of the air.
That's right. You need the guns to shoot the chemicals out of the air. But I will say this: credit where credit's due. At least he acknowledges that rape is real.
He does. That's true. For a Republican, that is a step forward. Right. He didn't say what should happen to the baby, to any potential child afterwards, if it was God's gift or not.
Right. He didn't say
kind
that.
Of finish off his job as a Republican.
But he didn't.
World of genuine rapists.
That's right. He didn't say. He didn't qualify by saying the world is full of genuine, legitimate rapists. So I guess
Did you notice also he said rapers, not rapists?
Right. Yeah, rapers.
Rapers, are rapists are just kind of friendly.
Well, to be fair,
when they do it. Rapers, though.
To be fair, he just needed rapers to rhyme with knockout gamers.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, you can't say knockout gamists.
Silly framers.
But
and sometimes we have lion tamers.
But
he should have been doing a whole thing, really.
But this speaks to the larger conservative project. I mean, I would imagine almost every panel or every speech could be summed up by this vision of loss. We have lost the right to marginalize gay people. we now have lost, like you say, our demographic advantage. And now we have to at least pay some lip service to the fact that there are non-white people in America. We are losing our moral compass because of, I guess, I don't know, the lack of guns. People aren't going on skateboards. We've lost skateboards now. And
I see it in my neighborhood. No one's laughing. Skateboards are just lying out in the streets now.
Yes.
Dogs and cats living together. Yeah.
Kids playing video games, I guess, indoors. But, this notion of they're under siege, and on some level, they are so regressive that they are always under siege because time moves forward. And while certainly in some areas we seem to be regressing, in other areas, inevitably, we have emancipation movements where people are getting rights that they just don't like. People are becoming full citizens with the full complement of rights. And so guns, for them, is one of their cultural touchstones that will somehow stop this, I guess, by, like Matt said, shooting at chemicals or shooting at the absence of skateboards. I'm not sure how that works, but
if there's no laughter in the air and you start shooting, it's amazing.
Maybe guns are the reasons why those playgrounds are empty and the skateboards aren't being used.
Well, unlikely. Well, the reality is that what they need to do to continue to function as a trade organization is to make people feel like there are knockout gamists and carjackers that are going to take. And the fact of the matter is, crime is down. Violent crime is down across the country.
Yes, I think Wayne Pierre is actually America's knockout gamer.
Yeah, exactly.
This is his knockout game. This is what he does. Look, there are a number of things in that speech. It's so hard to unpack all of them because there's so many things. There's general themes. One of them, of course, we're in this alone, which is, the core of the conservative project.
Yes.
Which, when we were all prosperous and growing together between the 40s and the late 70s, was the notion had been accepted that we are a republic, that we were all in this together. That if the CEO does well, the workers do well. If we've got peace, it's better for all of us. All these sorts of notions. If we're moving forward on civil rights, it's better. Obviously there was resistance to that in parts of the country, major parts of the country, but that speaks to actually who he's talking to here. Because really, if you listen, all this is the Nixon Southern strategy with a 100-round, drum magazine attached to it. He's speaking to the same people George Wallace was speaking to. He's speaking to Southerners and rural Northerners and Westerners in the very same language. As you pointed out, violent crime is in the real world, outside that bubble that he creates. In the real world, violent crime, all of crime, is down. The only reason why we have higher violent crime than virtually all other first world or developed nations is because of him and people like him, because of the easy access we give to the people that will go and be those shopping mall killers he's talking about, and airport killers he's talking about, and campus killers, as his organization just pushed a bill in Idaho to allow open and concealed carry on campuses, which is probably going to be the first state in the country to allow that everywhere. And you can see the different visions right there. Right to the east or to the west of Idaho, you've got Washington State, which just passed a strong gun safety bill to crack down on allowing those with misdemeanor assault, domestic battery from getting their hands on firearms. They're moving in the right direction. Right next to them, Idaho, you have this completely opposite. What's different? We know what's different about those two states. One is a state that has urban, suburban, multicultural areas, and one is mostly rural and mostly white. And I don't say that to insult all white people. You know who I'm talking about here: older, whiter, fatter, more evangelical, and the rest of it. And so, he's talking this whole thing here. It's funny because at one point he actually stole a line from Independence Day. and he gave the Bill Pullman speech, when they're going to go, they won't go gently into that good night or whatever.
Right.
We won't go gently into the night. And in that movie, of course, Will Smith, an African American, is one of the heroes, which I find interesting because the truth of the matter is the picture he's painting. I'll say this as a New Yorker, someone who grew up in New York City. He's painting that picture of New York in the late 70s, early 80s, when all the movies were like Death Wish,
right.
And Escape from New York, right? Because we had to be protected by Snake Plissken from Isaac Hayes. Why was that? And Charles Bronson had to go on subways and shoot people who mostly were black for some strange reason. That of this sort of place under siege, where crime rates were higher and all that kind of thing from 30 years ago. It's not to say there aren't still neighborhoods that are dangerous and the rest. It's just to say that's what pervaded our culture. So really all he is like a 1980s movie. He's trying to scare people in that way. And so I found that interesting too. But I mean, that's really what this comes down to. This is that in the late 70s, I'm trying to remember when this survey was taken, 50% of households owned guns. We're now down to under a third in this country. And where are they concentrated? In the areas he's speaking to. And he needs to get the same people
right.
who are trying to fill those bunkers in their basements to buy 15, 20, 25 guns, more exotic guns, more military-style weaponry, whatever you can get to make up for most of the rest of us that want to live in a civilized society, so that gun ownership is shrinking. And that's really the story here.